Today, the Tacoma is getting a facelift. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys are all staying healthy and safe. Today I'm going to continue working on the Tacoma and I'm going to record a short video. I'm going to be changing out a few parts on here. You know, some I've already had in the truck and I've pulled them off. Others are new. So what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to be installing this TRD Pro Grille on the Tacoma. Now in the past I've had the TRD Pro style one, which is the knockoff. Today we will be installing the OEM TRD Pro Grille on the Tacoma. I'm super pumped on it. Now the difference between this grill, I'm going to try and show a shot on this, is that it does look very similar to the, well, the knockoff looks very similar to this, but this has more of a satin, like semi-gloss finish. I'm going to try and show that, you know, for you guys on video here. So I think this just looks killer. It's time to, you know, go away from the TRD off-road grill and pop this puppy back in. So super pumped on this, especially with this being a OEM piece. Also, since we are doing the TRD Pro Grille, also we'll be doing the skid plate. One thing I haven't done on the truck yet, you know, still have the TRD off-road one, so super pumped to get this on here. I mean, this should take like 5 minutes. And what's really nice is that we do have our little door and latch here for when we are doing oil changes. Makes it really, really simple. And finally, as you guys know, went through a few different like fender flares on here. Got the OEM ones on here again, but I will be throwing the rough countries back onto the truck. However, I am going to try and wrap these guys to match the truck, and then we'll see what that looks like and, you know, get these guys on here. So, you know, with that being said, let's get into changing out the grill. We'll do the grill, skid plate, and then the fender flare. So let's get it. Now before I throw this grill on the truck, I want to show you guys the difference. Here we have the OEM one and the TRD like knockoff one that most people run. As you guys can see, the OEM one has a much more deep, I would say, black color. Also like a satin slash, you know, semi-gloss finish. It looks a lot better in my opinion. And also one thing I've noticed with these TRD, I would say, Pro knockoffs, they start to fade over time and kind of just, you know, start looking cheaper and cheaper. So I'm super pumped on this. All right, now let's get this guy on the truck. We'll pull off the current grill and get this guy on. And there we have it. How good does that look? Definitely one of my favorite grills on the 3rd gen Tacomas. Next up, it's time to install the TRD skid plate. That should be pretty simple. You just have to pull out the 2 skid plates on the truck, throw this guy on. I think it's going to use all the same hardware. It did come with new hardware, but we'll just reuse whatever's on the truck right now. So let's get underneath and get that guy pulled off. There we have it. Got the skid plate on. I did end up using the hardware that came with the skid plate. Couldn't reuse all of the OEM hardware. I could only reuse the back 2 bolts. The rest, I used the ones that came with the skid plate. Got the grill on. It is looking good. Next up, we're going to move on to the fender here. Alright, we got the grill done, skid plates done. Next up, we are going to move on to the fender flares. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull out the OEM ones off again. I'm going to throw the rough countries on. I am going to need to trim down the rough countries because last time I had them on I didn't have the front bumper on here, so that's not that big of a deal. Also, let me pull this guy up. With the rough countries, it does come with this hardware right here, which is stainless steel, silver. You know, that goes essentially in here. What I'm going to do with these guys is, because I'm trying to go for a certain look, I'm going to spray paint these guys black. Usually I would go through and just, you know, do like black oxidation on them, but I don't have any of the solution here, and you know, I'm impatient. So I'm just gonna, the first step, I'll go through and spray paint the hardware. I'll do a couple coats and just let it dry for a couple hours, you know, as I'm working on the rest of the fender flares. Now, as the hardware is drying, I'm gonna go through and start working on the fender flares. Now, the look I'm gonna try and go for here is that I am going to wrap these guys to match the rest of the body. We'll do black hardware in it, and then I do also want to do black weather stripping around it. I personally really like the Japanese style of doing over fenders, you know, like your Rocket Bunny kits and whatnot, and just like really making it prominent that they are over fenders and not OEM. So we'll see if we can achieve that with this, you know, kind of on the cheap. So first up, we'll pull this guy off. Now, I've already removed all the bolsters, so this will just pop off. There we go. That's going to look pretty good, and I'll just cut a little bit lower. You can always trim it up a little bit more. Let's see how this fits. Almost there. Looks like I just need to clean this up a little bit here. I did go a little bit lower here just because one of the mounting points is right here, so I'll have to kind of cut around that. So let's go and just clean this up, and this will be good to go. We'll wrap it up, see what it looks like. All right, and that's looking a lot better. I'm gonna be able to attach it here. Cleaner. Next up, let me just go and sand this down a little bit, clean it up, clean these fender flares up, and let me start wrapping them. I've got the fender flare cleaned up, I gotta sand it down. Next up, I'll go through, and again, I'm just gonna wrap it in the same material I did the truck, so we'll do that right now. Okay, up next, I'm gonna go through and add the black hardware. Okay, we got the hardware in, it's looking good. Next up, I'm gonna throw the weather stripping on here. And hopefully this gives us the look that we're after. Alright, I got the weather stripping on this bad boy. Next up, I'm going to throw it on the truck, see what this looks like. It's going to be perfect fitment. It's going to look good. And there we have it. We've got the fender flares back on the truck, got the black hardware color matched, and I think it looks pretty killer, especially with these guys being wider. Only thing I'm looking at now, I think we might need to be running some spacers, just get a little bit of wider stance, especially up front. So that'll be a project for another day. Also, TRD Pro Grille is back on the truck, looks great. TSS sensor works, so that's always a plus. And then our TRD Pro skip plate, or I should say just TRD skip plate. Anyway, that's it for the video for today. Super short, just a quick, I would say, facelift on the truck. Next up, I will be working on some of the lighting. I need to figure out what to do on the lighting for the bumpers. Might be switching out the dish lights. Anyway, that will be for another video. As always, if you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay safe. Until next time, we'll see ya.